Welcome to Tales of Kind Souls, where stories of love, compassion, and unexpected connections remind us that kindness can change lives in the most beautiful ways. Our story today begins in the quiet corner of an airport lounge, where two lives, worlds apart, were about to cross paths in a way neither could have imagined. The man was exhausted, his face etched with lines far deeper than his age deserved. He was a single father, barely 30, yet the burdens of raising a little girl alone had aged him beyond his years. In one hand, he clutched his daughter's tiny backpack, pink with little stars stitched across it. In the other, his boarding pass, slightly crumpled, damp with the sweat of his palm. He had been running from one gate to another, trying to keep up with a restless child, trying to catch the right flight, trying to hold his life together like a puzzle with missing pieces. His daughter, perhaps 5, dozed on a chair nearby, her head leaning against her stuffed toy bunny. He watched her with the tenderness only a parent who has known loss can carry. She was his everything, the only reason he kept going. And then there was her, the woman sitting just 2 seats away. She was dressed impeccably, a tailored suit that whispered money and power, her phone buzzing every few minutes with notifications. She was a CEO, the kind of woman who could sign a contract worth millions before breakfast, deliver a keynote at lunch, and board a private jet before dinner. Success clung to her like perfume. Yet there was something else too, fatigue. The kind of weariness that comes not from lack of sleep, but from years of carrying the invisible weight of responsibilities and expectations. She didn't notice him at first. Her world was full of meetings, investors, and decisions that would ripple through entire industries. But when her flight was delayed for the 3rd time, she let out a sigh so heavy it almost shook her polished image. She set her phone aside, leaned back, and for the first time in months, allowed herself to simply close her eyes. And that was when it happened. The single dad shifted in his seat, adjusting the weight of his daughter's head as she stirred. His shoulder brushed against hers. He froze, embarrassed, ready to apologize, but before he could, her head tipped ever so slightly and landed gently on his shoulder. The CEO had fallen asleep. At first, he didn't know what to do. He looked around, wondering if someone would recognize her, if someone would think it odd that a powerful woman like her was resting against a stranger. But no one seemed to notice. His daughter stirred, opened her sleepy eyes, and whispered, "Daddy, she's sleeping." He nodded, pressing a finger to his lips. Shh. Minutes turned to half an hour. She slept soundly, her breathing deep and steady, as though for the first time in years she felt safe enough to let go. And he, for reasons he couldn't explain, didn't move. He sat there, still as stone, letting her rest. When she finally woke, her eyes fluttered open and realization hit her. She straightened quickly, smoothed her suit and cleared her throat. I'm so sorry," she stammered, an unusual crack in her normally flawless demeanor. He offered a small smile. "It's okay. You must have been tired." For a moment she studied him. His clothes were simple, not poor, but worn. His eyes carried exhaustion, but also a softness that disarmed her. And then she saw the little girl, who smiled shyly before burying her face into her bunny. Something inside the CEO shifted, almost imperceptibly. Their flight was finally called, and as fate would have it, they were seated side by side. She chuckled at the coincidence, though she rarely believed in accidents. "Seems we're seatmates," she said lightly. He nodded, adjusting his daughter on his lap. "Looks like it." As the plane took off, turbulence shook the cabin, and his daughter clung to him, eyes wide with fear. Without hesitation, the CEO reached over and took the child's small hand in hers. "Don't worry, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice unusually gentle. "It's just a little bump in the sky." The father looked at her in surprise, and in that moment he saw not the CEO the world knew, but a woman with a tenderness she rarely showed. Hours passed. They talked, slowly at first, then with surprising ease. She learned his story, how his wife had passed away during childbirth complications, leaving him with a newborn to raise alone. how he had given up his career to be there for his daughter, how every day was a battle to balance work, bills, and parenthood, but how he wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. She shared her own truths, pieces of herself she rarely admitted to anyone. The loneliness of boardrooms, the endless pressure of running a company, the constant fear of failure. People think success makes you happy, she confessed quietly, but sometimes it just makes you tired. When the plane landed, neither of them wanted to say goodbye. She surprised herself by offering him her card. "If you ever need help," she said, fumbling for the right words, "or just someone to talk to." He accepted it, though he wasn't sure he'd ever use it. Days turned into weeks. He didn't call. Life kept him busy, and he doubted someone like her would really have time for someone like him. But one evening, as he tucked his daughter into bed, she asked, "Daddy, can we see the nice lady again? The one who wasn't afraid of the bumpy sky?" And so he called. What started as a coffee turned into long conversations, laughter, and shared silences. She met his daughter again, and something inside her softened even more. She found herself drawn not to his struggles, but to his strength, to the way he loved his child with a fierceness that money could never buy. And he, in turn, found himself seeing her not as the untouchable CEO, but as a woman who, beneath the armor of success, longed for connection as much as he did. Their worlds collided in unexpected ways. She offered him opportunities, but he refused charity. Instead, he inspired her to slow down, to notice the little joys in life she had long ignored. The giggle of a child, the comfort of shared meals, the peace of simply being present. The more time they spent together, the more their bond grew. His daughter adored her, often falling asleep in her lap, just as she once had on his shoulder. It was almost poetic, the way life had brought them together through an accidental nap. And now, through love, they were giving each other the rest they had both been searching for. But their journey wasn't without challenges. The media caught wind of their relationship, splashing headlines about the CEO and the single dad. Some questioned her choices, others mocked him for daring to be with someone so powerful. Yet through it all, they held on to each other. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she whispered, "You know, the first time I felt truly safe in years was when I fell asleep on your shoulder." He smiled, pulling her close. "And the first time I believed life could give me something beautiful again was when you did." And so their story became one of resilience, love, and the gentle reminder that sometimes the greatest connections begin with the smallest accidents. Because in a world where power and struggle often clash, a CEO and a single dad discovered that kindness, compassion, and love have a way of rewriting destinies. And that is the tale of how one tired shoulder became the beginning of forever. This has been Tales of Kind Souls, where we bring you stories that warm the heart and remind us of the beauty of human connection. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that celebrate love, resilience, and kindness in all its forms.